Have you ever been so sure you were right, only to later realize you might have missed something crucial? Not because you were careless, but because your mind filtered it out without asking you?
What if the real danger isn't what you don't know, but what you think you know for sure that simply isn't true?
This isn't about intelligence. It's about the blind spots your brain hides from you every single day. Let's talk about the bias you never knew you had. And before we dive into the details, if you don't want to miss out on valuable content like this in future episodes, don't forget to follow our Think and Rebound channel.
Today, we're talking about something called blind spot bias, a cognitive bias that I think we all have to some extent, and we'll explore how it affects our objectivity and how we read things.
Exactly. And to make it clearer, we're going to tell you about someone we'll call Anya. Anya is a person full of dreams. She dreams of being a creator who brings new things to the world. Technology is her lifeblood. She wants her work to change people's lives for the better. She has a lot of confidence in her own judgment, thinking she's always objective and makes decisions based on data and reason. But Anya had a small, almost invisible bias, confirmation bias. She tended to seek out information that confirmed what she already believed, and often unknowingly dismissed anything that contradicted her thoughts. She believed she was objective, but her brain was constantly selecting information to support what she already thought was true.
This became a big problem when Anya's company was looking for a new marketing strategy. Anya was a huge advocate for a particular digital advertising approach. She read several case studies that said it worked, and she saw competitors using similar methods. In team meetings, whenever someone brought up potential downsides, like high cost per click or market saturation, Anya would quickly counter with data to dismiss those concerns. She wasn't intentionally trying to mislead anyone. She genuinely believed her approach was the best. Her blind spot bias was preventing her from truly evaluating those counterarguments.
Exactly. It's easy for us to see Anya's bias from an outside perspective. But if we were in her shoes with her experiences and beliefs, we might very well do the same. It's not about intentionally harming anyone. It's about how our brains are wired to create shortcuts. So the team decided to move forward with Anya's strategy.
Unfortunately, the results weren't what they expected at all. The digital ad campaign, which initially looked promising, quickly plateaued. The cost per click was much higher than anticipated, and the target audience seemed to be overwhelmed by similar ads from competitors. Anya felt increasingly frustrated and confused. She had done her homework, she had the data, so why wasn't it working?
This is where the real turning point comes. Anya's manager, a very wise and observant woman, noticed Anya's increasing frustration. Instead of criticizing, she approached Anya with empathy. She said, "Anya, I know you put a lot of work into this, and the data looked promising. Sometimes, though, we can get so focused on one path that we miss other valuable insights. Maybe we need to broaden our lens a bit."
Anya was initially defensive, but her manager's gentle approach opened a door. Her manager suggested a brainstorming session, but with a twist. Everyone had to present an argument against Anya's chosen strategy, supported by data, no matter how small. This forced Anya and the whole team to actively seek out disconfirming evidence.
And this was Anya's big breakthrough. As her colleagues presented data points she had previously dismissed or undervalued, information about customer feedback on ad fatigue, competitor spending on alternative channels, and the rise of influencer marketing, she started to connect the dots in a new way. It was a humbling experience, but also incredibly empowering. She realized her objectivity wasn't a given. It was something she had to actively cultivate.
She shifted her approach. Instead of trying to prove herself right, she began genuinely asking, "What am I missing?" She actively sought out diverse perspectives, even from those she initially disagreed with. She started practicing devil's advocate with herself, intentionally looking for flaws in her own arguments. This change in mindset completely transformed her decision-making process.
Anya's story really highlights the power of self-awareness in overcoming blind spot bias. But it's not just about grand strategic decisions. This bias affects our daily lives in very subtle ways. For example, there's a concept called naive realism, where we believe we perceive the world objectively, and that anyone who disagrees with us must be uninformed, irrational, or biased themselves.
Consider Liam, for example. He's someone who loves reading political news. He primarily followed news sources that aligned with his political views. When a friend shared an article from a different perspective, Liam immediately dismissed it as fake news, without even thoroughly reading it. His blind spot bias, fueled by confirmation bias and naive realism, completely prevented him from engaging with alternative viewpoints.
Or Sarah, who was convinced her communication style was always clear and direct. When her team members expressed confusion about her instructions, she blamed them for not listening carefully. She had a blind spot to her own subtle use of jargon and assumptions, leading to misunderstandings. We've all been through times like this, haven't we?
These are everyday examples where our blind spot bias can hinder our learning, our relationships, and our ability to critically evaluate information. But the good news is, just like Anya, we can develop strategies to mitigate its effects.
So how do we start to unlock our minds and address this bias? The first step, as we saw with Anya, is self-awareness. Acknowledge that you, like everyone else, have blind spots. It's not a weakness. It's just part of being human.
Second, actively seek out dissenting opinions and contradictory evidence. Don't just consume information that confirms what you already believe. Read articles from different perspectives, listen to podcasts with opposing viewpoints, and engage in respectful discussions with people who think differently than you. This is crucial for enhancing our critical reading skills.
Third, practice active listening and empathetic understanding. When someone presents an idea that challenges yours, instead of immediately forming a rebuttal, try to genuinely understand their perspective. Ask clarifying questions. Put yourself in their shoes. If it were us, we might even make the same decision or hold the same belief.
Fourth, engage in reflective journaling or self-talk. Regularly ask yourself, what assumptions am I making? What evidence might be missing? Am I truly considering all sides of this issue? This internal dialogue helps to uncover hidden biases.
And finally, embrace intellectual humility. This means being open to the possibility that you might be wrong. It's okay to change your mind when presented with new, compelling evidence. In fact, it's a sign of strength, not weakness.
So, to recap Anya's journey, she started with unwavering confidence in her own objectivity, but her confirmation bias led her down a less effective path. Through a supportive environment and a deliberate shift in mindset, she learned to actively challenge her own assumptions, seek out diverse perspectives, and ultimately became a more effective and objective decision-maker.
And for Liam and Sarah, the lessons are similar. Actively confronting our biases, even the subtle ones, can dramatically improve how we interact with information and with each other. It's truly a continuous process of self-improvement and learning. We challenge you, our listeners, to take just one action from today's discussion.
Choose one specific area in your life. Perhaps how you consume news, how you approach a disagreement with a loved one, or how you evaluate information for a work project, and consciously try to identify a potential blind spot bias.
Then, for just 1 week, actively seek out information or perspectives that challenge your initial thoughts. Try to understand them, not to dismiss them. It's a small step, but it's a powerful beginning to unlocking your mind and enhancing your objectivity.
Thank you for joining us on Unlock Your Mind. We hope this conversation sparks a new way of thinking for you.